Hey folks, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new vlog. Um, this is tomatoes part 2. I debated back and forth on doing, like breaking it up and doing some hot peppers and then doing some more tomatoes. But with all the things that I'm doing with the hot peppers, it's going to make more chronological sense if I wait on the hot pepper vlog. So what we're going to do that I'm going to film at least. I've got 4 hours of a babysitter left. This morning has already gone just like that. Um, I've got 14 pounds of tomatoes in this stock pot with a cup of water, and I'm getting ready to chop up this behemoth of a half of an onion. That's going to be, darn dishwasher. That's going to be every bit of a cup of onion, which is what I need. This batch of tomatoes is going to go into quart jars. We're going to make tomato soup. I have hit my threshold for tomato juice. I don't want to separate all that stuff out anymore. I'm tired, boss. So this is going to become tomato soup. That way I can just run down to the pantry in the basement, grab a jar, make some grilled cheese, and away we go this fall and winter. So put a little bit of work in now, have an easy life later. So we're going to do tomato soup. And if I have time, we are going to make a batch of hot salsa. The salsa I made in last week's vlog was super mild, low sodium, great for like my daughter. You know, she's gonna have a good time with this salsa. She loves tomato based products. It's not gonna, set her mouth on fire or anything. It'll be great for just like our household day to day use. I also made, I don't think I vlogged it at all. I don't even think I made a short with it, but let me go grab a jar real quick and show you. I used the Ball Cannings recipe for cherry tomato and corn salsa because our corn is starting to come in. And I've made 6 pints of this. And as I have said in a previous vlog, or maybe I said it in the peppers vlog that I'm going to post later, any cherry tomatoes that I have that come in from now on, I'm just going to vacuum pack with fresh basil and freeze. That way I have packs of like fresh pasta sauce that I can pull from the freezer and throw in a pan and add some dried herbs and heavy cream and blend it all up and do it that way, because I am to the point where I'm running out of jars and I haven't put up half of what I want to get put up. So we're just going to make it work with what we've got going on for right now until I can get to town and buy some more jars in bulk. So, like I said, this is 14 pounds of tomatoes, a cup of water. I'm going to chop up that onion, not like a super fine dice or anything, because all this is going to run through the food mill. This is, skin, seeds. I cored and quartered these tomatoes, put that onion in. When these cook down and everything gets soft, I'm going to food mill it. I'm going to add it all back into the pot, and I will link the recipe that I'm using. I haven't read over it enough to remember exactly what all you add to it and how long you cook it down before you put it in jars and can it. I do know the processing time for quarts is 40 minutes. So for my elevation, it'll be 45 minutes. So while that goes, I'm going to finish my lunch because I heated up leftovers from last night and I got them too hot. So I'm going to finish my lunch, get my quart jars washed, and let this do its thing. All right, folks, that camera is cockeyed. Sorry. I don't know if that's any better, but anyway, our tomatoes have cooked for about an hour on medium high heat. So I'm just going to start feeding everything through my food mill. And remember, this go around, I am not separating further after this step. I'm not going to use a sieve to strain out the juice. Everything is going back into the pot because this time we're making tomato soup. So I'll run through this, and then I think I mentioned already, you just put everything back into the pot, turn the heat back on, There are some seasonings that you add. I'm sure garlic, salt, pepper. I think celery seed was on the ingredients list, but regardless, I'll talk you through it when I get to that step, and I will link the recipe I'm using in the description box. Um, so something to note, and I'm sure I said something about it in the first tomato vlog. Can you tell I'm starting to run out of steam a little bit? Make sure that when you do this, you wear something you're not attached to or an apron. Which, speaking of, look at this super cute Ozark Mountain Living apron that one of my aunts made me. Um, it's got huge pockets, and she put on a little loop for a kitchen towel. That is honestly like one of the best things, and the pockets are huge. So if I forget something or I don't take a basket to the garden, which is the main kicker, I've got these gigantic pockets that hold a ton. So that's super nice. Very grateful for that. So I'm just going to keep doing this, and then we might get some salsa made today, and it might just have to wait till another day. Um, in this vlog, it's just more tomatoes, but I have done other things, and you'll see that in a few weeks, because there will be an upcoming hot peppers vlog. So this isn't all I've gotten accomplished today. I get a babysitter a couple days a week, and every time I think, oh man, I'm gonna get this house cleaned up. I'm gonna get so much done, and before I know it, it is 1:40 in the afternoon. She got picked up around 9, and she'll probably be home around 4. And the kitchen table is still covered in produce and jars that need to get labeled and go to the basement. I need to unload the dishwasher and reload the dishwasher, even though I've already ran it twice today. The living room looks like Toys R Us threw up in it. My floors need mopped. You know how it is. If you know, you know. It's just kind of one of those things. But I just I guess I got to remind myself by October, my house will be put back together, and I won't be doing this every spare minute of every day. And don't get me wrong, like I love doing this. I love canning and preserving our own food. I actually do get enjoyment out of it beyond just the having it to eat. I like doing this, but it does get overwhelming. And honestly, I wouldn't be doing this at all right now if I had enough freezer bags for all of those tomatoes that I got to go into the deep freeze. I would honestly just save everything for a later day. But I'm going to put everything that I can in the freezer, and everything else is just going to have to get worked up somehow. So we're doing this. It made a dent in what I need to put in the freezer. So I'll get this done, get this all milled back in the pot. And are you guys interested in seeing like how I put stuff in the freezer? I don't even need to tell you. I just wash the tomatoes. I go ahead and core them. I don't cut them up any further than that, but I wash them, core them, put them in freezer bags, label what they are, put them in the deep freeze, and then when you get them out of the freezer, the peels just slide right off. So you don't even have to do all this stuff. You can just chop your tomatoes up and use them however you want them, or juice them, or whatever. So I'm going to keep doing this, and I'm not going to make you suffer through watching me do this while I just ramble on about random and insignificant things. So I will get this done, and I'll see you back here when we start adding seasonings. Okay, folks, I got all those tomatoes milled and put back in my stock pot. Excuse me. And to the pot, I added bay leaves, brown sugar, celery seed, dried oregano, garlic powder. Did I say brown sugar already? I think I did, and some salt. And of course, you can find all of the correct measurements in the recipe that I link in the description box. However, just keep in mind that I doubled this recipe. So from what's on the website, so everything I did, I did based off of 14 pounds of tomatoes instead of 7 pounds of tomatoes, which is what the recipe calls for. But that recipe said it would only make 4 pint jars, and I wanted to do 4 quart jars. So logic would dictate that I just needed to double that recipe. So from here, you're just supposed to let it cook down until you get your desired thickness of soup. The recipe says this takes generally about an hour. So since my canner is not processing anything right now and I don't have anything else, well, that's not true. I've got lots of other things that I could do. But I do think that while this goes, I'll set a timer for like 45 minutes and just kind of blitz the house and get done what I can get done. Hopefully the floors gets on that list. And then we'll come back to taste test this and jar it up. All right, folks, we are going to wrap up the tomato soup. I'm hitting a major wall. It's a huge blessing, and I'm so grateful, so grateful for access to all of this food, whether I, have a friend who has an overabundance or I'm growing it myself and I'm able to provide that abundance to somebody. Like, this is great. But I want my house back. It's starting to wear on me a little bit to just have, it feels like mess everywhere and all I do is clean and nothing ever looks any better. But I've had my jars in the oven at 170. I have 4 quarts, and then I have 7 half pints that are just kind of like random leftovers from doing things. Because I thought I was going to get to the salsa today, but it is already 3:30 and my daughter's going to be back home around 4. And I would like to get these jars filled up and take a little bit of a break and sit down before she gets home and I'm back on my feet again, because I have not sat all day long. I actually just remembered that I needed to drink some water, so I shotgun 3 of my little Yeti, not my little, my big Yeti cups of water, so I'm all over. I also forgot to hand wash my funnel, so it's in the dishwasher right now. So I'm just going to do this as carefully as I can. Thankfully, these are wide mouth jars. And I'm just going to fill them up to 1-inch headspace. Basically, same rules as the tomato juice. And I think I mentioned that the processing time is 45 minutes for these quarts. The taste is really good. Ooh, but I almost forgot something really important. 2 really important somethings. Thing 1, there are still bay leaves in this. Make sure you fish those out. I'll probably stop this real quick, or when I'm done talking, and get that done. And then don't forget your acid, whether you're using citric acid or lemon juice. That is important, because you don't want to do all this work and then end up not having food you can eat because it's gone rancid. So I'm going to fill up these jars after I fish these bay leaves out, put my lemon juice in, and get them in the canner for 45 minutes. Hey folks, it's another day, another tomato recipe. Today we are going to make a chunky hot salsa. To make it chunky, I do need to peel and cut up my tomatoes, so I'm just doing a blanching situation, and I think I've showed this before. I know I showed it with the peaches. Same principle applies with tomatoes. If you cut an X at the bottom of the tomato, I don't know how well you can see that, like that, and then you put it in a pot of steaming or boiling water for like a minute, the peels just come right off. So I've got this set up here, hot water for my tomatoes, bowl of cold water to shock them a little bit so they don't cook down, even though I'm not super worried about them cooking down because they're going to cook for the salsa. But I do want them to remain at least kind of firm so it's easy to chop them up, because we're going to chop these. This recipe calls for 10 cups, which I estimate is about 25 medium-sized tomatoes, which is what I have. So I'm going to go ahead and blanch 25 tomatoes, peel them, core them, chop them, measure them, see where we're at, and then go from there. Okay, folks, I'm back after spending an absolute eternity chopping, but I didn't figure you wanted to watch that because that would be very, very, very boring. But basically, what we have here, please pardon all of the mess. Everything is a mess right now. The garden, the house, myself, everything's a mess. But this is, I ended up with 12 cups of tomatoes chopped up, so I just put them all in there. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'll just add a little bit more salt. It also called for 5 cups of chopped bell pepper, 5 cups chopped onion. What else did I chop? I didn't chop anything else. I put 20 seeded jalapenos, an entire bulb of garlic, obviously all the cloves peeled, and a full bunch of cilantro in my little blender thingy and blended it up because by the time I got all of those tomatoes, bell peppers, and onions chopped up, I was over it. So when I looked at all of those teeny tiny things I had left to chop up, I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I am not spending another hour getting interrupted, which is fine. She can interrupt me all she wants to. It's not a big deal. It's kind of it's the gig of being a mom. So I just ran all of that through the blender, and I've got it in this pot. So basically, the recipe then says to bring this to a boil, and then once it reaches a boil, knock it down to a simmer and let it simmer for 15-ish minutes or until it starts to thicken a little bit. And then you'll fill your jars, debubble, clean your rims. It's a 1/2 inch headspace. And then you will process. It says 1/2 pints for 15 minutes. So I'm going to do 20 minutes. And then if I have, this says it'll do a dozen 1/2 pint jars. So I've got a new flat of 1/2 pints, and I'm just going to use that flat. So like while this comes to a boil, I'll get those washed and put in the oven and ready to go. And I went ahead and turned the heat under my canner on too, so that everything should be ready at the same time. So we'll let this cook. What? Are you sleepy? No, you're not sleepy. Hopefully, I don't get a copyright infringement because we got Winnie the Pooh playing in the background, and I hope the mic's not picking that up. But anyway, I'm going to get those jars washed, and we will come back when we start. It's a new day, and we are doing another tomato recipe. This one, I didn't even think to film it because honestly, I was doing so many different things. Like I've got another 1/2 batch of that chunky salsa. I prepped it. It's sitting on the counter right now. It needs to go in the fridge because I am out of jars. I want to do the chunky salsa in 1/2 pint. So when I go to town later today to pick up Lil from the babysitter, I'll just get another dozen 1/2 pints. But anyway, I did that. I pitted cherries to get them in the freezer. And then while that was going, I reduced. Okay, let me back up. Sorry. I could not tell you how many pounds or how many cups of tomatoes this was. This is 8 pints. And while I talk about this, I'm going to go ahead and get my lids and rings on so we can start processing because the process time on this is 40 minutes. But like I said, I could not tell you how many pounds or cups of tomatoes this was. I just threw all the tomatoes I had left except my cherry tomatoes. I quartered them and cored them and threw them in the crock pot on low overnight. And then this morning when I got up, I ran it all through the food mill, and it filled this pot up to, I don't know, there's probably like 4 inches from the top. I'm looking at like where it hit the pot as it was cooking. But so like when we made the tomato juice, we just needed to heat that juice up to 190 to make this sauce. And I did not add any herbs or flavor or anything into this sauce. This is just straight tomato sauce. This would be awesome to put in chili as like your liquid. But I reduced the volume of the tomato puree by half in this pot. And while I did that, that's when I like chopped up veggies for that chunky salsa and pitted the cherries and all that good stuff. So once that reduced by half, and I cooked that on medium to medium high heat the entire time, which took, what time is it now? Ooh, that took almost 2 hours to reduce by half. So that kind of gives you a time frame there of like what to look for if you want to do the same process. Then before I put the tomato sauce in my jars, I did add my tablespoon of lemon juice per jar. You can also salt these. Like I think it's a half a teaspoon or a full teaspoon. I think a full teaspoon's for a quart, half a teaspoon's for a pint. So you can salt these as you go. I didn't because I didn't know what I would be using them for, and I want to season everything for these like as I use them. So let me get my rings. And I'm just going to pop my rings on, fingertip tight, put them in the canner, let it come to a rolling boil, process for 40 minutes, let them sit for 5, pull them out, let them sit undisturbed for at least 24 hours. Then I'll wash them and label them and get them to the basement in the food cellar. So when I get done with this, my goal today, and it's a lofty one, but my goal today is to get my kitchen back. It has been tomato city, really canning city for the better part of July. And while I am so grateful, I don't know if I've said this already, while I am so grateful to have this abundance of produce, whether I grew it or it's been given to me or whatever, so grateful. I'm a little particular about my house, and it has been driving me bonkers. It has been driving me so crazy how disastrous I feel like my house has looked for the last few weeks. And it's not been bad. Like I've been keeping up with chores and sweeping and mopping almost every day, sweeping multiple times a day, picking up, throwing away trash. We're not just living in squalor by any means, but by my standards, it's been rough. So after I get these going, I'm going to start vacuum packing those cherry tomatoes with bunches of basil. Then that actually might be the end of the vlog. Is those vacuum packed cherry tomatoes, because I can't imagine you guys are interested in seeing much more tomato content. I promise next week will be something different. But I need to get off of here because I clearly need to focus on what I'm doing because my jars are getting cockeyed and I know I can fit 8 pints in here. So I'll see you in a few to vacuum pack some cherry tomatoes. All right, folks, I thought that I would sign off, but I didn't think there was any more appropriate way to round out the tomato saga than showing you that I do actually eat what I preserve. This is leftovers from last night. It's right at noon, and I just browned a pound of ground turkey, put a pint jar of my pasta sauce that I made in there, cooked it, simmered it while I made pasta. Yes, I handmade pasta for the first time in my life. I do not have any equipment or the KitchenAid attachment or anything. And unfortunately, I can never eat store-bought pasta again because this is so good. But that also means I'm going to have to I probably just made a huge mess. It also means I'm going to have to get the KitchenAid attachment because I would rather have dental work done than ever do that by hand again. So, um, after I cook the pasta, I put the pasta in with the sauce and the turkey. And I think I ended up using like between a half and a full cup of the pasta water to kind of loosen everything back up. And yeah, this is fantastic. So I'm going to enjoy this and then I'm going to see what else I can get up to. But until next time, guys, I hope you had a great week and have a great weekend ahead of you. Bye.